Well, turned out to be a comfortable day at the equity markets today. We managed to close at that 18,150 thereabout mark thanks to global cues. But yes, we're on slippery wicket in any case. We've already seen year to date $1.5 billion of FII sell-off already. Having said that, 15 of the Nifty companies are already out with their earnings. This week is a truncated one, Nikunj, with Thursday being a market holiday. No, we're not complaining. We could definitely do with a day's break, considering it's also the penultimate week to the budget, which is now only 9 trading days away. That said, what really stood out today, I think, Nikunj, was the reaction that you had to the banking earnings. Starting off with ICICI Bank, to Kotak, to a Bandhan Bank, to a Yes Bank, each of them being an individual case in its own.
Yeah, let's keep Yes Bank aside.
Sure,
Special situation stock. But if you look at Kotak Mahindra Bank, or for that matter IDFC Bank or ICICI Bank, the reaction was very muted. On a high base where expectations were high, these banks have managed to beat expectations quite handsomely, yet the market reaction was not there. So you could ask yourself, is that when numbers are solid, why are stocks not reacting? That's because the underlying current of the market, whether it is flows or nervousness ahead of the budget, or the fact that markets are nervous about global macros, bottom line here is that good numbers are getting ignored, bad numbers are getting punished. If you're meeting expectations, there is no recognition. And even the brokerages came out and they increased their targets for banks. The recognition to that fact was just missing.
But also, to be fair, in the case of an ICICI Bank, for instance, right, out of the entire bunch, that is the one stock which has a consensus buy call on the street. No one is bearish on ICICI Bank. So obviously, the scope for the stock to move higher, which has already run its course all through 2022, is going to be limited as opposed to, say, a Kotak Bank, which has not participated in the banking rally.
Of course, yes. Ayesha, you always have to look at the moot point for the banks. Let's say 3 years ago, the moot point for the bank was NPAs. Any bank who had low growth but low NPAs was rewarded. Then
let's dumb it down for our viewers. NPAs, yes.
Yeah, NPAs, low growth. Yeah. So there's a time when the economy was going through a bad NPA cycle, power, steel, metal. So any bank which had low NPAs and low growth also, it was rewarded. Kotak and HDFC Bank, low growth but low NPAs. Then came the phase where markets said, okay, NPAs are stable, let's reward high growth. So banks which had high growth like PSU banks after a clean balance sheet, or for that matter ICICI Bank, they were rewarded. So in the last leg, HDFC Bank and Kotak Bank have underperformed. Now what is the wrinkle, so to speak? The wrinkle, so to speak, is growth is back, NPAs are low, but deposit is like a raw material. Deposit is the fixed deposit or the current account deposit which you and me have at a bank. Banks get that money and they start lending. Which banks are generating higher CASA?
Yeah.
ICICI Bank is growing at 20%, but deposits are growing at 13%. Kotak is growing at 20%, but deposits are growing at 18%. So that is the reason why Kotak, I think, is in a sweet spot. HDFC Bank is in a sweet spot. Next couple of quarters, it's not about growth, it's not about NPAs, it's all about getting the low-cost deposit back in the system. The bank who wins it, gets it, wins the race.
And who does it feel like if you had to stick your neck out? Who is it tilting in favor of?
HDFC Bank and the State Bank of India along with Kotak. These are the banks which have a strong liability franchise. Liability franchise is what money you give to the bank. It is deposit for them, but it is a money which they have to give it back. Anything which you have, you want to give it back is liability. That liability franchise is used for lending. So anybody who has liability franchise or low cost deposit is the one who will lend. Smaller banks do not have that. Small PSU banks are losing their deposit franchise, and mid-tier PSU banks do not have the branch or the network. So big bank, big branch network, big reach are the ones who will win the race.
Okay, so that's the takeaway really on how the banking earnings so far have been. Of course, today post-market hours, you'll have Axis Bank declare its numbers, and we have a slew of them still to come out with their numbers. Big one, of course, being SBI and a slew of other PSU banking numbers. But from the takeaways or from the earnings so far, that's really been the key takeaway, that it's actually a race for deposit growth, and whoever wins the race is also going to win the stock price game as well, and is going to be the key leader or the key stock performer within the banking pack.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.